Welcome to the Wellness League podcast with your host Ella. And today, my friend is Nathan Ryles. Nathan is a personal trainer and owner of MUFU Fitness, Ninja Warrior athlete, and all-round amazing guy. So, let's dive in. Well, let's get started. So, firstly, who are you?
My name is Nathan Ryles, and I guess ex-Ninja Warrior and current gym owner.
Lovely, that's a good way to put it. So, what's your earliest memory of being fit?
My earliest memory of being fit, I guess, stems back to me playing a lot of competitive sports. So as I was young, I was a big competitive sports player. So nothing really specific, but probably football was my main sport. And then I guess gym fit would be probably like early 16, maybe 17 was when I started like getting into the gym a little bit more and focusing on strength training rather than just like competitive sport training.
Yeah, nice. Was the gym stuff starting to be strong to be helping your sports side too?
Um, oh, no, not necessarily. I think when I was training, I just liked the idea of being bigger and looking better. I think for
Yeah.
me, initially, it was more of like, this is how I want to physically look. And it was only until later on where it became more for performance based and it was more for mental health.
Yeah.
But I guess as a 16 and 17-year-old, you're not really thinking about mental health. You're more thinking about the way that you look. And I think that was probably the biggest starter for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So from being fit, how did Ninja Warrior come through?
Ninja Warrior was a little bit of not a mistake, but it was never in the pipelines. I was just, I guess, a reasonably fit guy, and I was getting told to apply for this show that I at the time I'd sort of never heard of. And
You were on a couple of times, but the first time you were on one of the early seasons, right?
so I did 5 years, and I was on the second season.
Yeah.
So so they did the first season, which I'd never really, I might have seen like glimpses of it, but from the second season, I did all the way to season 6 as well. So I was initially I was on for 5 years, but I guess my application sort of came from people just messaging me saying that I should go onto this TV show. And I'd only like half filled out my application, and I sort of like was busy with work, and then went to work the next day, and from there got a phone call asking me to complete my application because they were really keen to get me on. And I guess just with like my previous story with like defeating cancer and overcoming that sort of adversity, and that's the sort of the story that they wanted to go down.
Yeah, nice. So you were quite young when you had cancer, right? Were you like in your teens?
I was 19 when I was diagnosed with cancer, and then from there I had surgery. So I had surgery when I was 19, and then with cancer you go into like this 5 year remission program. And then so like as the years go on, in the first year I was getting tested every 3 months, and then in the second year it's a little bit less, and then eventually you just get tested every year until your 5 years is up. So in that first year I was getting tested every 3 months, and a year it would almost been like a year uh, on the dot where I got a phone call and they'd said that the cancer had returned, um, even though like we had been through surgery. And then it was like, what do we do from here? Do we want to go through chemo and try and defeat it, or do we want to like weirdly just let it grow and see where it goes and then try and take it out again? So that was sort of the ultimatum that I had, and yeah, pretty big decision when you're 20 years old.
Yeah, crazy. Hey, so like managing through your diagnosis, did you still train just to keep your mind off things?
Oh, I was definitely training. Definitely trained like sort of pre-surgery, post-surgery, and then I ended up deciding to go with chemo, and I did this like intense chemo, which so the chemo that I chose was a little bit more intense. It went for a little bit longer, but it meant the side effects. I wasn't going to have any scarring on my lung,
Yeah.
which was like really important for me because they said that the scarring on your lung could like really affect your fitness, and it could really like you could make you feel like a 2 pack a day smoker by the end of your chemo, and there's nothing that you could really do once you've completed it. So I chose to not do that, and I chose to go the more severe one. So I was trying to train during those breaks that I had whilst I was in chemo, but I was also like vomiting 15 times a day, like vomiting blood. I didn't
Yeah.
eat for, I think I was like 12 days where I didn't eat 4 in a row, and
Wow.
yeah, I was really sick.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen any of my chemo photos, but they don't look great.
Yeah, I think I have looked back in previous times. So once you were in the clear of that, how did you like manage to come back to your full fitness level that you had before?
I think for me, through that time, and I think it stays true to me now. Is I've always been consistent with what I do, so I knew I was never going to come back super strong straight away, but I knew where I wanted to be, and I knew how I wanted to get there. So for me, it was just like be consistent, get into the gym, do a workout like every day, get into the gym no matter what, no matter what it was, no matter where I was. There was always like make it a priority. So there's no amazing story behind how to get fit and get back from it. It was just stay consistent.
Yeah, do you think like keeping moving during the time where you are unwell really helped everything, as in like your treatment and your mental health?
Yeah, I think as much as I could. Like it was at the time of chemo, it was very hard for me to
Yeah, of course.
move. Like I was very very unwell, and even like getting out of bed would be a struggle. But when I could move,
Yeah.
and yeah, the times where I could, it definitely helps. I mean, movement is the biggest medicine, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, when I could and when I was able, I was willing to get up and get around.
So from there, were you already a trainer or did you become a trainer afterwards?
No, I was a carpenter at that time, so I was in my like third year of being an apprentice carpenter. Then I finished my apprenticeship when I was 21,
Yeah.
and then from there it was 6 months I think I did as an apprentice. Sorry, a fully qualified carpenter, and then I got into the PT side of things.
Yeah, it's quite common for tradies to do the jump into the gym to work.
Yeah, I think for me, like I love building and I still do quite a lot around my house, but I knew that it wasn't something that I was like super passionate about.
Yeah.
And especially when like if I would look at the time and it would be like 11 o'clock, and I was like dreading that I had to keep on working for an extra 5 hours. Whereas like if we fast forward to the time now, I look at the time and sometimes I'm like, holy shit, as if it's 2 o'clock. Like I've still got so much that I need to do. Like how has time flown? So for me, the decision, and this is what I would tell myself when I transitioned over, is I didn't care financially if I was making more money or less money, but I did care about enjoying what I did, and if I enjoyed what I did, then it was all the difference. And
Yeah.
yeah, now obviously like I love what I do and it is all the difference. And I think because I enjoy what I do, then it makes me want to work more, and hence why like I think I've been able to be as successful as I have.
Yeah, exactly. So doing your course, who did you go through?
My PT course,
Yes. Yeah,
I went through AIPT.
yeah, I did the similar. I went through AIPT too back when
Oh,
they were really good. And so from there, where did you start working and what kind of training were you doing?
so I went into doing Anytime Fitness, and it was just doing one-on-one personal training. So I did that, and at the time, I guess like when you're initially a personal trainer, no one knows who you are, right? So to me, I was like, how are people going to trust me with their fitness journey when I am just a nobody? So I think that's the hardest thing for a trainer, and it's also like there's a crazy stat that I heard when I first was getting into PT, and it was like 90% of PTs don't make it past their first year.
I've heard this a lot. Yeah.
So like it was crazy that everyone was getting their qualifications, and people think it's a saturated market, but realistically, it's not a saturated market because 90% of the people don't actually get past that first year. So for me, I wanted to be one of those people, and I thought like, how is the best way to get past a year? And for me, it was still working as a carpenter on the side. Like I still had to make some form of income. I wasn't going to be a super successful trainer straight away. So I would work PT in the morning. I'd do like a couple of clients. I would then work carpentry all day, and then I'd work a couple of PTs at night. And I would just do that. I think I did that for the first 6 to 8 months, just to build a good client base.
Yeah.
And then to the point where I started to have to do like a couple of like 1 or 2 days carpentry, and then the rest days PT. And then it was able for me, luckily, to transition into a full-time gig.
Yeah, I think that's not spoken about when you start as a PT, how hard it is to kind of break into the market and be really good. I think a lot of PTs do start out with that other job, or it's fairly common for PTs to have 2 or 3 jobs rocking at the same time, whether that is between like a couple of different gyms or working on the desk as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like it should just be common knowledge that it is very hard for people to trust someone that doesn't have any experience straight up. So you need to prove yourself, and you need to find a way to stand out from the rest.
Absolutely. So from there to opening your own gym, how was the big jump over, and where did the idea come to start MUFU?
I guess with MUFU, it's all sort of been my end goal to get to where we are now. Obviously, I have bigger and better aspirations for MUFU and where we go with that. But for me personally, my end goal was to create a really welcoming place where people don't feel judged, and they feel excited to train, and everyone feels respected, no matter who you are, no matter what age bracket you're in, no matter what fitness level you are. It's a place where you feel comfortable, you love to be there, and then you train. So that was always a massive goal for me, is that I wanted to create that safe space for people, because I know, like, and even from being a PT, I know how intimidating the gym can be for people, and which is one of the reasons why PTs exist, because it's a place where people can feel comfortable with coming in and someone setting the rules for them, and someone showing them what to do, and feeling like they're not doing things wrong and people are judging them. So for me, I really wanted to create that like beautiful space where you actually want a gym. It doesn't feel like a chore. You're excited to get up in the morning and do a class, and it's like a really fun and engaging experience. And we just have like the best community at MUFU. I honestly can't explain it, and sometimes I don't even know how it's happened, but it is just like the most beautiful place with the most beautiful people. Everyone is so encouraging, and I honestly getting goosebumps thinking about it now, because like it is something so special. And yeah, I'm so happy that sort of it's created, and it's thriving at the moment. So it's awesome.
Where did the idea come from, training clients at like an anytime setup, doing personal training, to a group fitness setup come from?
I guess like I wanted to. So as a personal trainer, you're capped to the amount of people that you could take on. Like I was working really big days. And even if I did like a 14-hour day, I would still probably only be able to get 12 sessions in that one day. And I might be able to do that, like, I think I was getting to between like 60 to 70 people in a week, which is like pretty crazy as a PT. There wouldn't be many people that are doing like 60 to 70 people in a week on the floor. And then I just felt like I was capped. Like there's no growth, even though I was like doing really well and I was super successful in what I was doing. for me, I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to do this for the rest of my life. Like, this is as big as I can get on the floor. I want to be able to replicate this in a group scenario. And so that's sort of where that idea came from of like, I want to get into the gym and create a space where it's like we're all getting PT'd, but it's just in a bigger scale. I guess like even the other day, it was awesome. We had over 100, we had 105 people do a Monday class just gone. So I've gone from being able to like maximum fit 12 people into a day to having 105 people walk through on a Monday and do a session. So
That's crazy. That's so
it's pretty wild. Yeah, it's really cool. And to think that was just Monday, like if we added up all the days, they're actually currently doing Pilates as we speak right now. But yeah, if we added up all the visits that we've had this week, it would be, crazy.
That's insane. You're in such a good location where you pick to go as well. Do you find that is a good factor into being your growth happen so quickly?
Like yes and no. I would say we're probably on the most saturated street for group
there is a few
gyms.
big brands along your strip of street that you're on. How do you find the competition between them all as well and trying to be that something different but better?
Yeah, I think like we independently, we're probably the only gym that is not like a franchise or say like a big brand. It was intimidating at first, but I also said to myself that if you can make it and do well on this street, on the most competitive group class gym in Adelaide, then you should be able to make it anywhere. So that was like the initial thought process is if we can do it here and we can do it well, we should be able to do it anywhere. And if we don't and we don't do it well, then maybe it wasn't supposed to be. So that was like my mindset going into that. Obviously, like we're in a beautiful area and we're in a great location, but I think like anyone can be in a great location, but people have got to want to stay at your gym, and that's what we do really well. Our retention rate has been like over 90% with like maintaining members, and for me, I just think that because we put our members first, like everything is so member driven, where we try and look after our members so much that profit for us is not really like, obviously it's important, we need a survival profit, but it's not our main concern. Our main concern is looking after our members, giving them the best experience that they can possibly get, and I think that's been our goal from day one.
That's so nice to see somebody like you talk about business like that. Like compared to talking to somebody who's in like an F45, they're all numbers driven and that profit, and that's what turns people away in the long run because you aren't getting the service that you're paying for. So in terms of from the idea to getting the location and then building up to opening day, let's talk about behind the scenes because nobody really talks about starting their gym. I find that stuff so interesting.
Yeah.
So
it
how
was
did
hectic.
you find
It
the
still is hectic, to be honest. But
how did you find the location? Were you scouting around in that area, or were you?
so it's actually a really cool. No, it's actually a really cool story. So, ironically, I had just come back from filming Ninja. So this was my last season of Ninja, and then that weekend. So I think I came back on like a Wednesday. That Saturday, I was playing footy, and like I've been a big footy player, played footy all the way through when I was filming with Ninja as well. So come back on the Wednesday, was playing footy on the Saturday. And in the first quarter, it was like the first 10 minutes, I just jumped up and landed and my ACL popped. And that's when I did my ACL. So I was laying on the ground and I was in the most agony I've ever been in my life. And I was getting all these thoughts pop in my head. One of them was, I'm not going to be able to play golf tomorrow. That's spewing.
Priorities.
The next one was, the next one was I'm not going to be able to play with my son because my son was, only recently just born and I wasn't going to be able to interact with him. And then I was laying on the ground and I thought there has to be a reason that this has happened to me. I don't understand why, like, all of these things I've been doing and this stupid ACL pops up. So anyway, I'm have to go, like, it's a confirmed that it's an ACL. Have to go and see my surgeon. Now my surgeon has just moved to Calvary down at Adelaide. I would never drive on Unley Road. I don't think I've ever driven on Unley Road in my life. And I'm looking for all these locations. I'd previously put an offer at Somerton Park. I'd been looking for like 8 months for these locations, and I just was not getting anywhere. And as I was driving to Calvary to go see my surgeon, I seen the location that we're currently in now. And I thought, oh, that's a really nice location. I actually didn't know much about Unley or the area or anything because I'm not from around that area. And then so as I seen him, I'm driving back, and I went in and made the call, and from there we just started putting things into place. And originally it was a little bit smaller than what I was looking for, so I still wasn't sure if we were going to go down the path of securing that place. But yeah, it almost seemed that, like, with every step that we took, and with every phone call we made, and it put itself into place, and then it's become the awesome spot that it is now. And so thankful that I did my ACL to then take me down that path. And
I think I've
and another ironic thing is now sorry.
Thank God I did my ACL.
Well, it is. You know what? It's. I feel like in my life, I feel like the biggest tragedies have always been the best things to happen to me. So, like, cancer, it was a massive adversity, but it gave me an awesome outlook on life. And I'm so grateful that I went through cancer, because it just gave me, like, the best outlook on life. And same with my ACL, like, it was such a big adversity, but now I'm so grateful that it has happened, because now I'm able to relate to people that have been in that same situation. But it's also given me, my gym and my location. And I was just about to say, ironically, my ACL surgeon is now a member of our gym. So it's just like this beautiful 360 circle. It's awesome.
That's honestly amazing. So once you secured the location, how did you decide what kind of equipment and who you were going to go through and all that, and your setup?
Yeah, so originally, like, because this was like an idea out of thin air. Obviously, I had like a plan and a game plan in my head. But what I thought was awesome is, like, everyone around me, and like my business partner, even though he trusted me and he knew that I was like a good trainer, he didn't really know what I was thinking. And like the trainers that I was trying to get, they had no idea what I was thinking as well. So, like, it was awesome for the people that jumped on board and trusted me. For me, what I did is I went to every class gym on that street. I before we opened, I tried every single class gym, and I would go in there and I would think, what did they do really well, and then what could have they improved on. And I feel like I got little bits of pieces from every class gym that was around. And the biggest thing for me was, I felt like a lot of people could improve on, like, member interaction and not sticking to speaking to their favorite people and becoming very clicky based. Like, I really want a place where everyone feels so welcome, like, does not matter who you are. And then I also felt like there was a little bit of confusion for, like, new members, confusion on, like, how structures rolled. And it wasn't like, if you weren't aware of some form, and you just you weren't feeling comfortable with, one, how the program might have been structured, but two, like, you don't even know how to do the form in the first place. So, like, then you're freaking out in your head. So for me, I wanted to make it really clear on what we were doing. So that's why we've got our screens up. We've got diagrams of every exercise. You know exactly what you're doing for exactly how long. You've got a timer. You've got diagrams. You've got clear instructions at the start. But then you've also got someone that you know.
Yeah, do you find that other people?
Sorry?
Do you find that other people on the street either had the screens up or they had the trainer and nothing in between, and that's why you did all that?
Yeah. I feel like, or like if they had screens, or it just wasn't, like, super clear. I remember I went to one gym and I was looking at a screen, and even though they had the diagrams, I was like, where am I? Like, I felt like I knew what I was doing in the fitness industry. So imagine if someone didn't know what they were doing in the fitness industry, like how confused they would be. Like I knew what exercises they were, but I didn't know where I was supposed to go. Whereas like I want people, they look at our screens, they know exactly where they need to be, exactly what they need to be doing. And they've got comfort knowing that if they're doing something that they're not quite sure about, they're going to have a trainer giving them awesome pointers and being trained really well.
Yeah, I agree. I've been to like a Pilates studio where there was that screen set up and kind of like a trainer walking around, but the screens like same, like I know what I'm doing, but when it came to that, the way that they had the screens was very like one-sided and you had no idea where the rest went. So it's nice that you've got that concept that you have them both combined in a really nice way. And then
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that's probably the biggest back end thing for me is because I create all the sessions and I create all the screens and I've done all that on the back end and that's been a massive like a lot of hours that I've put into that. But I can just see how much value people get out of it. And again, that's what we're all about is trying to provide value for our members and give them the best value that they can have. So for me, those are hours that are so well spent.
yeah, exactly. And putting those hours in at the beginning and how they can affect your business for the long run is great. So, in terms
Yeah.
of equipment, there's a lot of different setups that you went into, whether that is the rig in the middle or just your functional stuff, and you went with the style of having the rig. How do you go about teaching a group class around having that?
Yeah, well, we're really awesome with the way that we're set up on weight stays. So like we've got two different sides to the gym. Both people, so no matter what you're doing, you'll complete both sides of the gym, and it allows you to still do big compound lifts with a good amount of time rest and to still get your rep range in with the weight that you want to do. So the way that we split up the gym on a weight stage specifically is we'll have a couple of exercises on one side of the gym, which for example might be a bench press and it might be a bent over row. And then on the other side of the gym, you might have something like a pull up, and then you might have something like a shoulder press or something like that. So when you're on one side of the gym, you have 20 minutes, you have 5 rounds to get out both of your bench press and your bent over row. You'll have 4 minutes to do your bench press and bent over row. And depending on the rep range on the screen, you might be looking at 10 reps of a bench press and 15 reps of a bent over row, or you might be looking at something a little bit smaller depending on what day we're in or what phase we're in. You might be doing only 6 reps on the bench press and you might be doing only 12 reps on the bent over row. And basically, you've got 4 minutes to complete both of those exercises, and you might be working with one or two other people. So in that 4 minutes, I could do my bench press, which would be, let's say for argument's sake, I'm doing an 80 kilo bench press. You might be doing your bench press, which is a 30 kilo bench press, but it's totally fine because once I've completed my bench press, you can chuck your weights on. You can then do your bench press while I'm over there doing my bent over rows. We could then swap. I put my weights back on, and we've got heaps of time to like rest, recover. We don't have to worry about rushing to the next exercise. Like it's time to focus on those lifts, and it's also time to recover from those lifts. Because another thing that I found in these classes that I was attending is like you could try and do a big lift, but then you're running to the next exercise and you're trying to get weights on, and then trying to do that, but then you're running out of time, so then you're running over here. So for us, like especially on weight stays, it was really important for me to be able to get get a big compound lift in, but be able to recover from that compound lift. And these are our most attended days are the Mondays and the Fridays because people love doing their big squats and their big deadlifts and their bench presses and being taught correctly, but then also being able to recover for them and then go again rather than having to rush around and not really hitting the weights that they want to hit.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I think that you've really hit the mark on the problems in those other gyms, and I couldn't agree more with attending, like, even the CrossFit kind of style. They just rush too fast, and I think the way that you've gone is like, really intelligent, and that's a way that a lot more places should be looking at strength training.
Thank you. And just while I'm at this is not me having a go at any other gym. I think everyone has
No,
their own
no,
beautiful niches, and I, yeah, I think they all serve their own purposes. This is just something that I found in my training that I wanted to try and replicate in a group
No, absolutely. I
environment.
feel like you found all the problems in those kind of places, and you've made such an excellent combination out of everything that's currently around, and everything in the future should follow your kind of way of training because it's brilliant.
Well, hopefully they don't, and we become the only one that does
Well, or
it.
you just take them all over.
Yeah, exactly.
So from like the equipment kind of side, let's talk about the gym. So you've got your strength set up, but what happens on the other days during the week? So you've got your Monday, Friday strength.
Yeah, so Monday, Friday for us is very strength based, and that's where we get to take our time in our lifts. Um, like I was explaining before, Tuesdays and Thursdays are more of a cardio day. So we work through. There's a lot of different structures, but a common structure for us would be 10 stations around a room, and you have a minute to complete a rep range in that station, and then you'll move to the next exercise. So, for example, you might have 10 burpees in a minute to try and achieve. If you achieve those 10 burpees in 40 seconds, that means you get a 20-second break to then move to the next exercise, and then you would complete the rep range in that exercise. So that's a pretty common cardio structure for us. With those as well, like there's regressions for every exercise. Even the strength-based exercises or the strength days, we have regressions for pull-ups, we have regressions for deadlifts, we have regressions for bench press, squats. So everything in our gym can be regressed, and it can be done by anyone who walks through the door.
That's right.
Even the numbers of the rep ranges can be regressed and can be done by anyone that walks through the door. So that was another thing that I wanted to do in our program, was make it so like I could train in the same class who's been training for 15 years and been very involved in like high competitive fitness things, and then also be in the same class as someone who's like 8 months pregnant, and we both still get the exact same workout like for us, and we get the workout that we both need. And I think that was very important in my programming, and that was something that I spent a lot of time perfecting, to make sure these classes were perfect for everyone.
Yeah, how many classes do you have running within, and then how many classes are you personally taking yourself?
Yeah, sorry, I got a bit sidetracked on explaining which classes I do. So we have 8 sessions every day. So we have 8 sessions Monday to Friday, and they are the strength, the cardio. We have performance on Wednesday, which is an all over upper body, lower body, core, a little bit more rep range, a little less heavy. And then, 8 classes every day. And then on Saturday, we run hybrid classes, which is just like everything through Monday to Friday sort of mashed into
Like
one.
the best of.
And then today we've got, yeah. So like you get a little bit of cardio, we get like a bit of strength, we get, a little bit of everything. And now today they've got their Pilates. So we also provide yoga and Pilates, which Taylor's currently running. And then we also started incorporating a run club on Sundays as well. So we sort of alternate between the Pilates and the run club. We also offer ice baths on any sometimes sporadic Saturdays. We offer Normatec recovery boots, so people will come in, they'll do their Normatec recovery compressions, and they'll come and do a session, or they'll do a session and do their Normatecs after. So back to your question about how many do I take. For a year, I was probably taking 97% of the sessions. Only just recently have we gone into a little bit more of, we've got Kayla, who's on board now, who takes Tuesday mornings, Wednesday nights. We've got Em, who's coming on board, who's just like an awesome trainer, and she's going to start taking over Fridays. And then so between us three, we'll manage through those days.
How are you finding giving the reins to a couple other people so you can step back a bit?
Oh, honestly, I love it. Like, I think that's why I took so many sessions at the start, because I wanted it to be like, I wanted to set it up so other people could take it. And I think that was, again, a massive thing for me when I was designing these programs, is I always had the idea of it's not going to be me taking it. So it's all well and good me creating it and sounding awesome in my head, but how do I then convert that for other people? And and how do I get them to be on board with the session and understand it and run it. And I think that was always something that I initially were thinking of and how I was going to run that. And I love seeing those girls running sessions, and I love how they bring their own twist to the sessions and things that I've never even thought of. Like I was just watching Em do a Friday leg session the other day, and some of the corrections that she was giving these people that I'd never even thought of giving corrections of in a deadlift. And I thought that was awesome that the members were getting even more quality out of their membership from these different people and these different ways that they can correct. It was just, yeah, it's awesome to see. And even though I probably am, this is my baby and I want to try and be all over it, I love seeing that side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. I have a small boot camp that I run, and having a few different trainers there, it's nice to have a variety for all your clients so they can get a bit of the best of everything. So
Yeah, yeah. But then on the flip side, if you have someone that you don't think matches your vibe, we try and like scratch that out straight away as well. So if it's someone that doesn't align with us, not that we don't like them personally, but we'll try and make sure that we we only pick the people that are right for our gym.
yeah. Big news time. Fit8 Fitness Drinks is a sponsor of this podcast. Sports recovery drinks are perfect for after any workout. Go and check out their range, link in the bio. Enjoy. You won't regret going and buying a Fit8 sports drink. Alright, let's get back to the pod. And so I saw you did a few of the active escapes and taking a few of those getaways. Do you want to chat a bit about that as well?
Yeah. So active escapes is another job for me. I do. I probably now do only a couple a year, just given the gym, and it's hard for me to get away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been an active escapes trainer for when did COVID hit? 21? 21. Yeah, so I did the first escape back from COVID, so I did the Noosa. So I think I've been an escape trainer for now 2-3 years, which I love. It's like, honestly, it's like the best job in the world. And Zana, the guy who owns Active Escapes, is a really dear friend of mine now, and we have some great laughs. But it's also like, on a great job to get away and be around like-minded people who just want to train and holiday and probably drink too much at times, but have these active escapes where they all sort of get together. And like I've made heaps of friends from them, and I've had heaps of people come to my gym from these escapes. And
Oh, cool.
I've got Maldives coming up in Xana's going to kill me, either April or May. And then I've got Bali coming up in August as well.
Oh, fun. It's even nice that you get to enjoy those trips for what you're passionate about as well.
Definitely. It's like it's a dream job. For me, I love it, but at the same time, I also like to think that I am still working. So like, I'm not there to holiday, even though I get to and it's beautiful. But I'm still there to train people, and I'm still there to create vibes and be uplifting. And so I still have a schedule while I'm over there. Whereas probably other people get to go over there without a schedule and be a bit more free and do whatever they like. But I love it. It's awesome.
Do you take an extra couple of days at the end to relax before you come back?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I get up there like a day early and try to get back a day later. I also have, a little fella as well at home. So sometimes, that week is a long time to be away from him. And especially at the moment, I feel like with 1 week he grows another 2 inches. So I really try and minimize the time that I spend away in that regard, just so I can spend more time with him and watch him grow up, because you do get a lot of parent guilt.
Yeah, of course. So going back to Ninja Warrior, let's talk about the training for that. How different is that to your normal gym training to be able to do a course like that?
Yeah, for me, it was a massive change to where I was originally at. So when I applied for Ninja, I was probably like the strongest that I'd ever been physically, but I was very unfit. So like I was strong and held a lot of weight, but wouldn't have been able to run 500 meters to save my life. So ninja is the opposite to that. You need to be very fit. You need to be very agile. You need to be quick. You don't need to be strong most of the times. So yeah, my training did a big 180, which was probably the hardest part about ninja, because I had trained so long to get this strong physique, and then mentally I was going down a path where I had to lose all this weight that I had tried so hard to put on originally, for this show. So that was super mentally challenging for me, and it was really challenging for the first like 2 to 3 years. Like I really battled with that because I liked being strong. And then only in the last couple of years did I really embrace it. And I ended up, dropping down. So I started about like 95 to 96 kilos. I think I dropped down in my last season to about 78 kilos or 77. I think I weighed in at the end. So I ended up getting really, like, I lost a lot of that muscle, but given that, I had so much more endurance in my body for ninja, and it's all like upper body hanging, really. So I was doing a lot of rock climbing. I built a obstacle course at my place because luckily carpenter, so I can build courses.
Was that
so I would train a lot at my place. Sorry.
That was a bit of a COVID project, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, that was a COVID project. So it actually happened. So COVID hit. Yeah, COVID hit when I was away, and so then I had to be self-isolating for 2 weeks after we filmed. And then so when I was self-isolating, I was like, well, I might as well be productive with my time. And that's when I just got they just delivered everything to my door, and then I just built the gym in that 2 weeks. So it was super handy, and it was also awesome for me because then during that time all the gyms shut down. So not only was I training, but I was also training all of my clients, and people were trying to like buy memberships to my outdoor gym at that time because none of the gyms were open, and it was getting crazy.
So in terms of training for Ninja Warrior, how long did you get the call up before filming, and then did you start training straight away in the functional side?
Oh, my first year, I think I was like a month out of competing. Sorry, a month from knowing that I was going to be on the show to like when it was being filmed. So I was like completely thrown in the deep end. Tried to do like as much training as I thought I knew at that time, but I didn't really know much about ninja. This is a show that I had no idea what it even was. So yeah, I was just going off of like what other people had told me, and then like we did this live tryout. This is when I knew I was on, and the live tryout almost killed me. But I then took from that live tryout like the way that I think expected us to train. That's sort of my headspace then. And then I just tried to do that, and I don't know how, but somehow I managed to get to the grand final stage 2 in that first year.
Yeah.
And then from there, I really understood sort of where I needed to go with my training for ninja. But it was also such a fight because I was playing footy at the time. So when I wasn't in ninja season, I was putting weight on to try and be fit and strong for football, and then football season would finish, and then I was dropping all that weight to try and be as fit and skinny as I could for ninja. So I never really dedicated 100% of off season to ninja because I was always doing these other things in between. Yeah, ninja. It was crazy.
The endurance from football help though in the ninja training?
Not at all, because football's all like football for me was all about being strong and being I guess running fit, where ninja is all about being agile and being like endurance fit in your forearms and having like amazing grip strength. So for ninja, it's like it's almost very boring workout sometimes. Like you'll just be hanging from a bar, and you'll see how long you can dead hang from a bar, and then you'll do a chin up, and then you'll see how long you can hold a chin up in that position. Then you go down and up, and it's very tedious sort of training, doing lots of pull-ups and doing lots of muscle ups and sort of stuff like that. whereas football was like run and weights and get strong and get fit in that way. So yeah, two totally different types of training, and it's super hard to manage between both of them.
So in the 5 years that you did ninja, what did you feel like? How much did you improve every year, and what's the highest that you got to?
So I definitely improved with a lot of my abilities in ninja. Things that were almost impossible for me, or were impossible for me in season one, became almost too easy for me towards the end of season number 5. Ironically, stage 2 of the grand final was as far as I ever got. So that was the first season, but that wouldn't be the season that I was best in the best shape for ninja.
Yeah.
It was just, as we got on, the courses got much harder. I still did 3 grand finals in total, and then I did a semi final. But yeah, it was the courses become a lot more aggressive, and like Australian Ninja Warrior ended up going from so we started at American Ninja Warriors season 4, so that was our season 1.
Right.
But then our next season, we didn't grab their stuff from season 5. We grabbed their stuff from like season 9. So it was like we would just jump up an extra 5 years, and then from season, where we should have jumped up to then season 3 should have been the next season, we would just grab their stuff from season 12. So it was like we were always, the next season for us was always just like so crazy in comparison to what the previous season was.
Yeah.
So you're just like doing all this training, and then you're like, holy shit, like they have just stepped it up.
Where was it filmed as well?
Which was awesome, because like no one could finish it.
Where was it all filmed?
So they had a few different locations. The first time I did ninja was in Sydney on Cockatoo Island. And then we moved to Melbourne for 2 or 3 years, and then we moved back to Sydney in the Olympic Stadium. So that was really cool to finish with a few years at the Olympic Stadium, because you could have like a hotel right around the corner, like you would get good sleeps, and then you'd be able to perform. Whereas like my first year, we were sleeping in tents, and it was 35 degrees, and then a lot of people don't know with ninja is you're filming until like 4 or 5 in the morning. So you might be filming until 5 o'clock in the morning, and then you're trying to sleep during the day. But if you're trying to sleep during the day in a tent, which is 35 degrees, it's quite challenging. So not only are you doing the show, but you're also super exhausted from not being able to sleep and being dehydrated and hot. And yeah.
How important was it to have your family there on the sidelines watching in too?
Yeah, super important. One of the best things for me was in my last season having Carter on the sidelines. So Carter's my son. Having him on the sidelines, that was huge for me. I loved that. But in all honesty, when you're on stage, for me anyway, all of that goes to nothing. Like my first season, I don't even remember doing the obstacle course. Like I was so in the zone, which is crazy, because the performance anxiety you get beforehand is just ridiculous. But then when you're on stage, it's like you're just going through the motions of training, and it's all just sort of put together. The year that I had Tori, when I was going to propose to Tori on the sidelines, that was probably the year that I paid a little bit more attention to what was going on then, because I was like, doing a bit of a show, and I had her screaming at me, and I knew that I was going to propose, and she didn't know what was going on. So I was a little bit more aware of my sideline crew then. But yeah, even in that moment, like I was so focused on the course, you don't notice your sideline crew. You don't really notice the crowd there. You don't notice the cameras until you finish, and people rush over to you, interview you, and you're like, oh shit, like we're done.
On that one where you proposed to Tori, where did you keep the ring? Did you have somebody at the end of the course who you passed it to?
So I actually didn't end up proposing to her on the show, but I had my old man carrying the ring for the first couple of times, and then in the grand final I had Freddie Flintoff, so he was the sideline interviewer. He had the ring in the last one, but I in that season I was saying I would only propose to her if I made it up the wall, and like every single time I was just like so short of making it. So like the heats, I ended up getting to the wall. And this is another thing about me not paying attention to the sideline. Like there was a normal wall there, which I knew I could get up, but then they just introduced this $5,000 mega wall. And so for me, I didn't even think I'll just go up the little wall when I'll propose to Tori. I was like, fucking bring on this $5,000. I'm going to go up the mega wall. And like I tried it 3 times and I didn't end up getting it. And so then because of that, I was like, well, I didn't make up the wall. I can't propose. So, in hindsight, I was like, I semi wish I did just go up the small wall and it would have been awesome time. But then I also think if I made it up the big wall, it would have been also awesome. So, like, whatever.
How do you even train to get up a wall that steep?
Like there's a few walls around. Like base camp had a few mega like walls like that, but like you can't train. There's a lot of obstacles that you just can't train for. But what you can do is you can give yourself the ability to be able to do majority of obstacles. Like that, we had an obstacle in one season where you had to grab onto it and it would just spin you around and around and around until you got down to the end. And there's nothing that you can do to train for that. You just got to hold on for dear life and hope that you don't vomit. But yeah, like what you can do in preparation is just give yourself the best ability to have endurance in your forearms, because you're going to be doing a lot of obstacles and you're going to be getting gas doing a lot of those obstacles.
Yeah, exactly. So do you remember the show Wipeout? That was kind of like that, but probably when we were kids, that was like the obstacle course. Would you prefer to go on a show like that and have a go?
Oh, nah, quite like. I think Ninja's very like skillful, and I think Wipeout is a more like take the piss,
That was great.
sort of thing. Like you're very unlucky with Wipeout because you'll just get smacked by something and then you're in the water and you're fucking KO'd. But with Ninja, I felt like it was a lot more of like a skill based obstacle, and not everyone could do it. Like you had to be top of your game in that area. Whereas like Wipeout, they just have average Joes sort of going through there and getting smashed into the water.
Yeah. Did you maintain friends with a lot of the other people who were competing yearly too?
Yeah, I made a lot of friends through Ninja. It's quite hard because it is an Australian-wide TV show, so you make a lot of friends that aren't actually in Adelaide. But like even during competition, you would train at like a lot of people's houses, and everyone has their own backyard Ninja setup. So you just go around and you do quite a lot of training. But I guess as time's gone on, like Ninja was like awesome for me and I loved it, but it was again just a little phase of my life. And for me, I'm like, all right, now let's go on to this thing now, this gym for me. Or at the time it was like, let's move on to footy and let's go on to this. So, a lot of those guys would still, because they love it, like everyone love training for Ninja, would still be in that Ninja community. Whereas I'm like, all right, now let's go to, the next thing. And this is what I want to do now. So, maybe not so much now, but definitely during that 5-year period, I made some awesome friends.
Oh, good. Good. All right, moving on. So, name a sliding door moment in your life where you've turned left or right and it's kind of changed the future of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I've touched on it, and I guess for me, it would be when I went through the cancer and did chemo. I was quite a rebellious kid from a young age, and I was in a lot of trouble with police, and probably getting up to things that I shouldn't have been doing, and at that time, I had to really make a decision of like, do I continue the path that I'm doing now and end up winding up potentially in jail or just not doing anything, or do I go down the path of like really trying to make something of my life and working hard for it, because it's not an easy option to do. It's not an easy option to work hard and put all your eggs into smashing yourself every day in and day out, exercising and grinding. So that was probably my biggest turning point, is like, let's move forward and let's do something.
Yeah. So what's the importance of showing your son to have a healthy and fit lifestyle now?
I Love it. Like, I think you are a product of what you are surrounded by. And for me, I want to set the best example for Carter as I can. And the only way to set that example is to lead by example. So I can't expect Carter to do anything that I'm not willing to do. And not only my son, but I can't expect anyone in the gym to do anything that I'm not willing to do. And I can't expect anyone that I talk to on social media to do something that I'm not willing to do either. So I've always loved, you know, making my actions speak louder than my words and doing things and creating a great example for not only my son, but, anyone that may follow on that same journey. So, yeah, I think if I can set the best example for him, I'm going to surround him with an awesome community. I'm going to set him up with an awesome, I guess, opportunity to follow in the same footsteps. And it doesn't necessarily have to be doing what I do, but maybe taking on some of the mindset that's helped me, get to the point where I'm at today. And just like a no giving up attitude, and a really cool perspective on life, rather than thinking that the world owes you something.
Yeah. Have you got him in the gym yet doing a bit of a bench press or a pull up?
Oh, he comes in all the time. Yeah, he loves it. We're in the shower the other day, and I seen him bomb it up and down, and I said, "Oh, I'm like, mate, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm exercising." So he's definitely taken on the gym, and yeah, he loves it. He's quite like me when I was younger. He's very playful, and he's like always hanging from things. And even when I'm training outside, because I've still got the gym at my place, he'll come out with me and hang from the bars, and tell me to watch him do everything. So yeah, he loves being out and about. Yeah, if hopefully he's quite active, and I'll continue to help him with that journey.
You might have a future trainer working for you in about 15 years' time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we won't go that far. We'll see how we go. Hope, hopefully he's playing some golf or something and making me millions.
Yeah, start him early on that. with
Yeah.
with how busy you are, how do you find time for yourself to play golf and have time to stop?
Yeah. It's a great question, and probably one that I'm still trying to get on top of at the moment. Yeah, I actually probably don't have a lot of time for myself, and I think that's just the first year of business. And yeah, I think I've had to make the gym a priority, and I've had to put everything else sort of on the back burner. I do play a little bit of golf here and there when I can, and I try and be around my son as much as I can when I can. But yeah, definitely still trying to find a nice balance, which I'm not even sure exists when you're a business owner.
Oh, of course. Where's your go-to golf course or your favourite one in Adelaide?
Or I like to play at the moment. We play a lot at the Vines, and we've been playing a little bit at Thaxted. But I'm a little bit of a I don't want to say this word, but I'll say it, a bit of a golf slut at the moment, a golf course slut. So I like to um, do sort of every golf course around Adelaide, and I've probably the last 6 games I've played at 6 different golf courses.
What's
So
your favourite one? Like,
yeah, I like a new scenery.
what's the top like favourite course in Adelaide?
For me personally, or just in general?
In general, like, where's your like? What do you call the best one that you've played at?
Oh, the best one that I've played at.
Indoor.
Oh, probably like I've played at Mount Compass, which was quite beautiful.
Is that
I
the
think the
really
Vines
steep
is
one?
quite a beautiful
Mount Compass, the
course as
one
well.
with
What's that? Sorry.
Mount Compass is the one that's really steep with lots of hills.
Yeah. You'll hit a beautiful drive, and then it'll end up rolling down into the bushes, and you're like,
Yeah.
how did that get there? But that's such a beautiful course, and some of the views on that course is just amazing. So, yeah, that's probably one of my top courses.
Yeah, nice. The next one is, what are you consuming at the moment in terms of podcasts, TV shows, books?
Yeah, it's probably something that I've got a little bit more into now that I'm driving around a bit. I'm a little bit. This is probably a common one, but I do listen to a fair bit of Joe Rogan when I'm in the car, just because I quite like his attitude and his perspective on life, and how he sort of just like takes everyone at face value. And he's very he just doesn't believe everything that he hears. He likes to question things, and I love that about sort of what he does. I'm doing a lot of also recently like a lot of Wim Hof breathing that I'm implementing in my life, and doing like, along with the gym, we do a lot of ice baths, and I do a lot of cold showers. So there are a few things that I've been implementing that I really like. Not even, and to be honest, not even for any physical benefit do I do those for. I do them all for my mental health, and I think it puts me in a heaps better position just to attack the day. For example, like this morning before this podcast, was down at the beach at 6:30 and did a bunch of like Wim Hof breathing. And then after that, I did a 10K run, and then come back and had a cold shower. So it's like that. I feel like that has now set me up for the day ahead. It just puts me in an awesome space.
Yeah, nice. Are you training for anything at the moment?
No, honestly, I'm just enjoying my training. Like, this is the first time where I haven't been training for anything specifically. I've spent the last 5 years training for Ninja, and in that time I was training for football, and before that I was training for football, and I was training for sport. So this is actually the first time in my life where I'm training for me and doing the training that I like to do, and challenging myself at the same time. So I'm loving these MUFU workouts, and I know it sounds very biased of me because I'm like trying to pump up my own gym. But I was saying this the other day, is when I created MUFU, I wasn't sure if I was still going to train full time at MUFU, or I was still going to hold another 24/7 membership, and I was going to like do a little bit of MUFU and a little bit of my own training. But I've thrived under these workouts, and I'm enjoying it so much, and my body's enjoying it so much. It's physically the most I've ever changed, and just feeling amazing. And then also incorporating running, which I've always hated running. Like, just mentally, I've despised it. It's always been one of the exercises that I've hated the most.
I
And I'm
couldn't
trying to
agree more on
incorporate that.
that.
And for me, I just did it.
On the running,
Sorry?
yeah, I couldn't agree more on the running, and exactly the same. I've started running this year. It's slowly changing
Yeah.
my thoughts
How
on
have you
it.
found it?
Not bad. Like I have like I'm a triathlete on the side. I haven't raced properly in a couple of years, and I decided this was a year I'm going for a half Ironman. But so I had no choice to get back
Oh,
running.
awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, it's good. I think when you're hitting PBs like fairly regularly when you're coming back, it's quite exciting to see that you're like running further in the same amount of time that you ran the distance in, like, say 2 weeks ago. Or it's good.
Yeah. I think a big thing for me with running has been to not focus on my PBs, because that's previously where
Not
I
so
would
much
get
like
caught up and I would stop running.
I mean, more, it's not so much the PBs, but it's more that you're seeing yourself be able to run further in the same amount of time that you had previously done. So like a
Yeah,
5K.
yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry, I wasn't taking anything away
No,
from
it's
what you were
okay.
saying. I was more trying. This is more. This is me, I guess, trying to uh, promote other people to start
Yeah.
running. Is what's really helped me, because I've always had these high expectations on myself for running previously, and I
Yeah.
always thought I had to hit PBs every run, and I would get to a point where I'd freak myself out so mentally that I was going to have to do this crazy run again, that I would just stop running, because like I had all these high expectations. And what I've been able to do lately is mentally just say, I want you to hit this amount of kilometers, and it doesn't matter how long you run it in. And that has made me like thoroughly enjoy running lately, and I'm
Yeah.
loving that side of it. So yeah, I would just say to everyone that consistency is the key over
Absolutely. Yeah.
intensity.
And the results will come slowly, but when they do, it does get quite exciting for you to keep pushing forward and seeing how much better you're getting.
For sure.
Yeah.
For
With your
sure. And that goes down to like weights training as well, and like
Yeah.
cardio in the gym. Like, even if you're not pushing intensity, you're still going to get strength from it. And when that comes, it's such a rewarding feeling. And then you're like, all right, fucking let's go again. Like, when am I doing upper chest again?
I think it's quite crazy getting back into running, knowing that I have quite a strength kind of based in years, and I've swam for years, but getting running and then like the next day your quads hurt again. I'm like, oh man, I haven't felt my quads hurt like that in a long
Yeah.
time. It's quite humbling to realize
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you can be training, but you're not training. You're training different muscles when you're running that you forgot that almost were there.
Oh, 100%. I didn't realize these muscles existed in my calf until they were sore for about
Yeah.
17 days after my first run.
Absolutely. With your run club, what are you where are you doing it, and how far are you do you set everybody like a course and then people run back to get the solo ones, or?
Yeah, so at the moment we set it up so you've got the option of a 5, a 3, and a 1.
Yep.
And we all do that down along Somerton, like Somerton, Brighton, Glenelg.
Yep.
And yeah, no matter what you do, like you can run, you can walk, you can jog, any one of those distances, but we all finish at the same spot.
Yeah.
And you can go at whatever pace you want. So normally I'll just set a pace of like, you might be a 5-minute K for the 5K. And if you want to stick with me, you can, and we can have a chat while we run, or you can go ahead of me, you can go behind me. And then once we've all completed 5, 3, or 1, we all meet at the same place. And that's when we can go for a coffee, or we can go for a recovery swim, or whatever you want to do, or even just go about your day. But I think it's just being around, again, surrounded by people that all are like-minded people, and it just motivates you to then want to do something similar.
No, absolutely. I've started like incorporating at least one of my runs every week with a group, and it's so different. Like, it's crazy how running with people and how much quicker the time goes because you're chatting about stuff and your mind isn't on your legs running.
Do you know, I ran so much by myself and with my headphones in, and just in my own head. And then finally, when I ran with someone and we just did this 5K and we were talking, I actually could not believe how quick that 5K went. Like, I was like, oh, we're finished already. Like, this is ridiculous. And that's since then I'm like, this is awesome. Like, why am I not running and talking more often? Because it just completely distracts you.
But
You might not be hitting the best times you've ever hit, but you're getting those kilometers in, which I think is more important.
But the part of when you're talking as well, you're getting fitter aerobically, but it's also slowing you down a bit so you can get a bit further, because to keep talking while you're running, that is actually quite a skill to have.
Oh, correct. Yeah. And normally, if you see me training ever, I'm very chatty when I'm not training, but when I'm training, I'm so quiet because I get in the zone and I'm in my own head, and I'm very like setting all these challenges for myself in my own head. So it's nice to get out of that space a little bit and just like have fun when I run.
Yeah, nice. What kind of distances are you running at the moment, other than when you're running with the group?
Well, I just did a 10K this morning. Honestly, there's nothing specific that I'm trying to do. I'm just trying new things. Running, as weird as it sounds, as much as I've been in the fitness industry, running's actually like a really new thing for me.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to enjoy being out there and doing these kilometers. And I was started off with heaps of 5s, and then I've done I did an 8 earlier in the week and just did a 10 today. And yeah, who knows? Sometimes it's about how much time I've got to run. Sometimes it's about what I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm not putting any expectations on it. I'm just enjoying the journey of running.
Watch out, before you know it, you'll be a triathlete as well.
Oh, no, I'm not sure if I'll push it that far, but we do have, as a gym, we're about to do a true grit together. So it's nice to, just have some running aerobic fitness for the true grit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely helps. So that's such a good event to go and do too. All right, so moving on into
cool.
listener questions. So coming back from your ACL injury, is there anything that you would give tips to people going through the same injury to help rehab?
Yeah. I would say that the ACL has been one of the hardest recoveries that I've done. And a lot of people, I remember I was getting messages as when I did my ACL from people that had previously done it, and they were sending me messages like, oh, I'm so sorry that you've gone through this. If you need me, I'm here to help you. And a lot of messages like that, beautiful messages. And I was reading them at the time because I hadn't been through surgery, and I was thinking, like, what are these people on? I'll just recover from it. It'll be fine. Like, I'll do my rehab. It's like no dramas. But when I actually went into the recovery, I can understand why a lot of people get like super depressed during that time and don't recover from it properly, because the rehab that you have to do after an ACL is painful and it hurts, and it's tedious, and it's like
A long
you
process.
feel like you are worthless because and again, such a long process, but like you just can't do anything. And there was one morning where I was just like crying because I couldn't even get into the shower because I was in so much pain. I couldn't even shower myself properly, and I just felt like I was nothing. And I know it's not a big deal. Obviously, people like lose limbs and like have heart attacks and stuff. There's bigger problems, obviously, but for me at that time, it was a big issue. From being such a sporty, athletic person who's got like probably some form of ADHD to now not being able to, get off my bed and being forced to lay there in this pain where I couldn't move. It's a very hard recovery. But what I would say is no matter how much that recovery hurts and no matter how painful it is, if you don't follow your rehab, you will be in a worse spot for it. So you're better off following your rehab, putting yourself through that pain. And, the pain is probably that first month or 2 months where, even just moving your leg hurts and you're trying to bend your knee past the point where it doesn't want to bend and it's painful. But if you don't do that, the rest of your life is going to suffer. Whereas if you do that now, my legs are in the best condition of their life, and I'm running all these distances that I've never run, and I'm squatting this weights I've never squatted, I'm deadlifting those weights that I've never deadlifted. But if I didn't do my rehab, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in now.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think as it's being spoken about a lot more in recent weeks and months with sport and lots of ACLs, I think, yeah, it's interesting how it's getting spoken about more and how tough that injury is to come back in.
You know, I was
In the
going to say
morning,
hats off to the people that
yeah,
have been through multiple ACLs because I just don't understand how you'd go through that more than once.
yeah, absolutely. So next question in the morning is, are you a single alarm person to wake up to, or do you have multiple alarms since you have to get up so early?
Oh, if you have multiple alarms in life, you need to reassess your life decisions. Honestly, one alarm goes off and you are out of bed. If you want more sleep, set the last alarm as your one alarm. Don't
Yeah.
be doing multiple alarms. Um, no, definitely a single alarm guy.
Do you have like the same tune, or do you have have you set it to be something that makes you
Oh,
get out of bed?
it is just the standard awful iPhone alarm that
They're all
everyone
terrible.
gets PTSD when they hear.
I recently changed mine so it would kind of make you jump out of bed faster because it's something less boring.
Or like David Goggins swearing at you.
It's like one of those TikTok ones, and it's like get out of bed and go. I can't remember what it was, but it's a good one. It's almost as good as a David
Yeah,
Goggins.
there's some really cool like David Goggins ones where it's like, get up, motherfucker. Yeah, yeah. Yes,
In
cool.
uh, the next one was oh, the future of the gym. Where would you like to see it go and grow to? What's your dream?
Oh, look, the world's the oyster, right? Yeah, I probably not going to speak heaps on this just because
Yeah,
um I want to make sure that we get this one right and this one done. But what I could say is my goal for MUFU currently is to have it at a capacity where we cap our membership, which we will do once we've hit a certain number. And then once we've capped it, you won't be able to get in unless someone drops out as a member. So that would be my goal for my current gym. And then from there, just to continue adding value to their membership. So, it's not just what they've signed up for now, they're going to continue to get added value as their membership
if you could
goes on.
hypothetically grow the space into a bigger space, what kind of equipment would you add? Do you have any
Um,
dream pieces that you'd love to add to the gym? Maybe that is your
no, I
list.
don't think equipment I would like to add. I'm quite happy with the equipment that we've got in there. If anything, and we had a bigger space, I would look at doing an area of recovery. So I would look at having, our ice baths
Yeah.
in the gym because we don't currently do them in the gym. We do those out in our car park at the moment. And like our Normatex, when people are doing recovery in their Normatex, I'd love to have a space for that, rather than that, at the moment they can just sort of go wherever they like around the gym. So that's something that I'll definitely look at in the future, and what will happen with that. But for equipment wise, like I'm pretty happy with everything that we've got. Like we can do everything. Yeah, we can do everything that we need to at the moment.
Any rock climbing walls to be added in?
Nah. I think like that's its own special niche of training, and I think I would honestly be I wouldn't be doing the rock climbing well justice if I did this like half-assed rock climbing wall. I think if that was something that you were truly passionate in, then you would go and you would do climbing on the side, which I know some of our members do. A little bit of climbing, and then they come into the gym as well. So I'm happy with the like premium functional fitness training that we've got, and I think that's probably the area that will continue to make our specialty.
Yeah, fun. All right, on to my favorite part of the podcast. It's called 5 Fast Questions, and so you pick a number between 1 and 20, and it's the first thing that comes to your mind.
Yeah.
You spit out the answer and don't think about it.
This is not going to go well. I'm quite slow at the best of times.
It's honestly the best part. So, first number between 1 and 20, please.
All right, let's go 16.
All right, number 16 is if you won the lottery, so it's like an undefined amount, what are 3 things you would spend it on?
Oh, I'm already nervous. All right. Probably generic. Just go like house, holiday home, speedboat.
Love it. See, the most authentic answers come when you're not thinking about it.
My heart is pounding.
Next number?
We'll go 2.
Number 2 is coffee with somebody dead or alive. Who are you having it with? Anybody?
Oh, I would either say The Rock or Joe Rogan.
Yeah, nice. All right, next one.
Or Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah? What if Joe Rogan asked you on his podcast? What would you say?
Oh, I'm a bit busy, mate. Sorry.
You really? Would you say no to that?
No. Be very honoured.
Next number.
We'll go 13.
Number 13. If you're stuck on an island, what's 3 items you're taking with you?
Man. Some carpentry tools. Sorry?
Yeah, 3 things. Go on. First thing that comes to your mind.
Yeah, some carpentry tools. Yeah. A boat to escape. And a toothbrush.
Good choice. All right. Next one.
20.
Number 20 is your biggest fear.
Dementia.
Yeah, right. Is that the reason you did your walk with the crutches?
My walk with my crutches was my grandfather survived polio, and he was a polio survivor. He had it when he was quite young. He was like 12, 13 when he got polio, and he was then crutches bound for the rest of his life. And he was a massive inspiration for me. And again, it just showed something that's big in my life is like, overcoming adversity and how it made him such a positive person. And he was one of the most beautiful men that you would ever meet in your life. And he actually did a similar walk from the city, and then he used to live in Lenswood, so he walked from the city to Lenswood on crutches.
Right.
And it was like 25 Ks or something like that he just did because he wanted to prove that he could do it like everyone else could walk. He wanted to prove that he could do something like that. So that was in memory of him. I started from his burial site, which was in Lobethal, and I walked from his burial site to our gym, which was 34 Ks on crutches.
That's incredible. Well done, mate. And
Thank you.
One more question to go.
But sorry, no, he did, I don't think he did have dementia at that time. But that dementia does scare the shit out of him.
Sort of like
hence why I'm.
Yeah, I remember you saying about that, and I couldn't remember the cause why you did the walk. I was going to ask it earlier, but it slipped my mind. So one more question. Number.
We'll go. I can't even remember which ones I've done. Maybe 14.
Okay,
Have I done 14?
No. If you could go back and tell your younger self something, what would you say?
Just stay consistent. stay consistent.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, thank you so much for your time today. That was such a brilliant episode talking about everything that's gone on in your life and how you've gotten to this amazing stage now with your gym and, yeah, living your best life.
Thank you so much for having me on. I've really appreciated
No, you're welcome.
being on your podcast, and thank you so much for having me.
No, all good. Thank you so much. Wow, how incredible is Nathan's story? Like, really enlightening, coming back from having cancer in his late teens and into his early 20s, and how he could have gone any way with that, but at that point he decided to change his whole life around. It's really inspirational to watch that something as going through as bad as cancer and it can shake up your whole life. But Nathan has really turned his life around and turned it into a positive way of now inspiring others to be fit and healthy every day. So if you live on the eastern side of Adelaide, go and check out Nathan's gym. I'll tag everything in the show notes. Also, a big thank you to FitAid Fitness Drinks for sponsoring this podcast. So why don't you go and share it with a friend, go and put it on one of your social media stories, and go and like us on Instagram, Facebook. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Have the best week, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye!